Sabonis. I think that he is a bit. I mean, some people do talk about him, but still, he's a bit underrated, at least in my opinion. Wanted to hear your thoughts on him and where you kind of rank him in the all-time center spots.
Well, let me first talk about that Portland team, and then I'll finish it off with talking about
Yeah.
Sabonis. But I'm going to tell you something about that Portland team. We were a team that hung with each other a lot off the court as well. So we were a close-knit team. We would play paintball often, like all the time, man. It was just, we would do that all the time as a team. And but those guys, it was just the practices were unbelievable. So like you mentioned some guys, man, this is the thing that was so unique about that team is that Gary Grant, Bonzi Wells, Jermaine O'Neal, those were third string guys on this team right here. So Jermaine O'Neal got traded to Indiana and got a big deal, and everybody he had hardly played much for us, so everybody was wondering, where did this guy come from? But all of us knew, oh yeah, he's going to live up to that, no question, because we knew he was a hell of a player. But it was just that he was competing against Brian Grant and Rasheed Wallace.
Yeah.
I mean, what can you do? So he didn't play much. They tried to play him at center at times to just try to get him some minutes out there because we were just so stacked at every position. You can go 3 deep every position and almost get an all-star, And so you talk about a guy like Bonzi Wells. When he went to the Sacramento Kings, he became one of the best 2 guards in the league. Yeah. When he played with us, he barely could get in the game, And so, it was just that was probably the most talented team, maybe that Dallas Maverick team that I played on as well in my last year. But that Portland Trailblazer team was so talented. It was unreal. The practices, you talking about just a host of guys veteran guys who were at a very high level. It was unbelievable to play in that environment. And oftentimes being on a layup line, you could see that was the only team that I ever played on that in a layup line, you could see the other team. You could see the look on their face, and it was just like, man, they knew they didn't stand a chance that night. That was the only team that I ever played for that would happen on occasion. You going out there, we all at the same level, we competing, but you could see coming into some games when on that Portland team, facing that Portland team, that you knew what was going to happen there. And but you have a guy like Sabonis. You talk about Sabonis, man. He was incredible. When we played with him, I think he had blown his Achilles out maybe 3 times by that time. So he couldn't. I would challenge that he probably couldn't jump over a telephone book when we played with him. But his talent level was so unreal. Like his hook shot, he had such a consistent hook shot over the left shoulder. He could turn right shoulder, the drop step to the right shoulder. He was so big, and his fundamentals were just unbelievable. He could shoot from 3 at a high level like a guard. Mm-hmm. But the best thing about Sabonis was his ability to pass that ball, man. Oh, my goodness. He could pass that ball. They talk about the Joker now that with Denver. Oh, no, I'm telling you right now. He pales in comparison to the way Sabonis passed that ball. Sabonis was unbelievable at passing that ball. And a guy like me who liked to shoot all the time, I just was running all around trying to get open because I knew, number one, he was going to get double teamed, and he would definitely find over the head, behind the back bounce passes. I mean, over this way, across the court, cross court passes. I mean, it was unbelievable over the head like that. I mean, he could see the floor cutters cutting to the basket. Unbelievable, man. Seriously.
He was super creative, and he's a couple of inches taller than Jokic, so he can kind of see the game better, maybe.
Oh yeah, he was 7'3", man. That dude was tall, man. Real tall. He had a lot of weight to him. He was heavy too, so he was strong, leaning on guys all game. You could just see him just weighing dudes down, So he was incredible, man. He was incredible. Keep in mind, I just told you he had blown his Achilles out about 2 or 3 times already. So his movement, his movement around, he wasn't the quickest guy you would see moving around in that court, and he was just still unstoppable.
Yeah, when I've seen highlights of him in Lithuania when he played for Žalgiris or something like, I think it was Žalgiris. He was so much quicker. By the time he came to the NBA, like you said, injuries got to him, and he was maybe a bit older. But another what if, we'll never know.
That dude was flying. He was dunking from almost like the free throw line back over here when so he was athletic. And I'm talking about now you're in a situation where you're not athletic at all. Yeah. And still dominate the game. That he just had high skill level as well. He didn't just dominate just off of his athleticism. His skill level was very high.